Hello guys, welcome to this review paper about deep learning and explainable artificial intelligence techniques applied for detecting money laundering. It's actually a critical review paper. So what are the objectives of this review paper? The objectives are to identify the deep learning techniques in money laundering domain. Also to determine the interpretability of the research published so far, and perhaps identify the explainable artificial intelligence techniques applied in anti-money laundering domain to bring out the explainability the money laundering. So looking at the explainable AI in deep, explainable AI is a class of system that provides visibility into how an AI system makes the decisions, predictions, and executes its actions. Explainable AI has become a prerequisite for building the trust and to drive adoption of AI systems in high-stake domains such as the finance, crime, the credit risks, healthcare, which requires reliability, safety, and fairness. The regulations like the General Data Protection Regulation particularly records of processing activities and right to be informed, and California Consumer Private Act have all also imposed the interpretability and explainability mandate for most of the AI and machine learning solutions in regulatory compliance domains. Explainable AI works in basically two categories, which we say we can refer one as the transparency design that focuses basically on the internal functioning of the model from developers' point of view, and the post hoc design. This explains why a result is invert from the user's point of view. Looking at what other researchers have come about the explainable AI, they have faced challenges of lack of access to recent real transaction data and scarcity of label training data, and data being highly imbalanced in this area of explainable AI in brief. Looking at the problem studied here, money laundering and terrorism financing has been one of the major threats to the integrity of international financial system since the last 5 decades. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime estimates that the amount of money laundered every year is approximately 2 to 5% of the global GDP, which amounts to a sum of 800 billion to maybe 2 trillion, and it's one of the biggest threats for the global economy and its security. To combat the finance crime and comply with anti-money laundering requirements, most banks or most financial institutions traditionally employ the rule-based anti-money laundering systems, which helps to identify cash transactions beyond threshold values, international fund transfers, and suspicious transactions. These systems detect the suspicious transactions based on the predefined rules and raise the alerts. Compliance officer investigates these alerts, and if it is found to be positive, a suspicious matter report is prepared and submitted to regulatory to ensure compliance reporting. The false positive rate of these alerts is estimated to over 98%, which results in a huge operational cost to the banks. So considering most of this continuous increase in transactions, changing fraud patterns, and regulatory landscape, a robust end-to-end framework utilizing the AI and ML is required, which can help to accurately detect the suspicious money laundering transactions by reducing the false positives and generate the human interpretable explanation for the decisions made by ML. Having such a framework will not only increase the efficiency in AML operations, but also reduce operational cost that goes into investigation of false positive alerts. It will also help the banks to manage the compliance risk and keep the brand reputations intact. The explanations of the ML decisions will help build the trust in the system, which can be accepted as an effective AML and control regulator. So, looking at the methodology employed in this review followed a standard three-step review process described by Ketchenham and Chatters, which are plan, to conduct and report. The review focused on identifying the application of deep learning techniques for money laundering detection, reviewing the methods on machine learning to know if they are interpretable or not, identify if any explainable AI techniques are applied, where non-interpretable methods are used, and present the type of data used during model training and evaluation. Looking at these tables, these two tables will explain to us about the search and selection process. Looking at table number 1 here, this one is about the search queries and results, which were based on the keywords entered by the researchers. The first query here, which was search return or had about 9 papers. The second search had or returned about 75 papers in regard or to today's keywords. Like the first search here had money laundering or suspicious transaction, or had anti-money laundering and explainable AI at the same time. All right. So the second search had money laundering or suspicious transaction, anti-money laundering, but another one is the machine learning, those ones that are employing the machine learning technique. The third one here returned 10, and then which was based on the deep learning. The fourth search here returned 97 papers, meaning this was about data mining in this case. The last one of statistics returned only 7, showing that yes, there is a small number of research happening in this field. So when it comes to this second table here about the literature classifications, we had duplicate papers here, which one was returned under the statistical methods, 28 from the data mining. Machine learning had a return of 5. Deep learning didn't return anything. The explainable artificial AI methods returned 1. So we can look at up to down here. There is also non-relevant to finance data papers, where the statistical had nothing, data mining 14, machine learning 10, deep learning 3, XAI nothing. All right. So we can see these figures are clearly explainable this slide. So when we look at the related works that have been conducted, the solutions to detect the money laundering pattern have been evolving from statistical methods, data mining, and ML to DL, looking at the previous slide of the search queries and paper classification. There are several review papers in literature that demonstrates the application of these methods for detecting suspicious transactions. However, these ones lacked the focused review on deep learning techniques or explainable AI techniques in the same domain. But now with this paper, this one will use the previous literatures to publish on the missing or the gap, which is on deep learning and explainable AI methods to detect these suspicious money laundering transactions in financial institutions. This is how the whole process or suspicion happens. we have the first stage here, where there is reporting entity of the anti-money laundering system. The start is here, where transactions, there is financial transactions happening. There is monitoring of these transactions. If it is realized that it is suspicious or it is not suspicious, if it is not suspicious, it will stop there. But any suspicions, yes, there is an alert which is raised. If this alert is raised, an investigation alert is put on board. That one is done by the triangle, or sorry, the investigating team. Okay, so if this alert also, which is, or this investigation alert is suspicious, then the process will have to continue. A case is created. This case will now be investigated. If it is not suspicious, it stops. If it is suspicious, yes, there is going to be a preparation of a suspicious matter report, which this suspicious matter report is submitted for analysis and investigation. When the investigation happens and it looks suspicious, then the process continues. An inquiry of report is prepared at this stage also. Yes, this one is done by the regulatory authority. This report is handed over to the criminal investigation and court matters. This one happens now at the last level, where the law and enforcement agencies can come in. Okay, so looking at the court results, if the court results find this person not guilty, then the transaction was legit. And if in case this transaction is guilty, then an illicit transaction and penalties are now brought on board. And yes, this is where the whole process will end in brief. Okay. Looking at the data mining techniques in this financial fraud detection, the data mining techniques are classified in about 6 categories: classification, regression, prediction, outlier detection, visualization, clustering. Suspicious behavior, and categorizing the money laundering related crime using the support vector machine, then the linear regression, and the multi-layer perception, which is captured. So what are the key challenges in this paper, or identified in this paper? This paper identified some of the key challenges for the ML barriers for adoption of the AI ML constraints for researchers and future research directions. Which one? We looked at the changing canvas, the increase in volume and frequency of transactions, multiple customer channels, real-time transactions settlement, digital banking, and changing fraud patterns, which has kept the canvas changing. We are hence actually making it hard for the researchers to come up with a concrete way of how to go with. The multi-step classification. This one, the inherent nature of suspicious money laundering transaction detection is a multi-step classification problem, where the decision of suspiciousness is taken at transaction level, an alert level, and case level, SMR level, and finally by the law enforcement agency. So which means still the researchers cannot come in, because all these ones will require steps within the banks and all the financial institutions. Slow adoption of AI technology. Yes, this one, although some complex models such as the deep neural networks have maybe given promising results in the field, yes, but there is still lack of transparency and interpretability of models, which creates a barrier for AI adoption in the anti-money laundering domain. The anti-money laundering domain being confidential in nature, hiding of much information by the banks in regard to this. So many research methodologies for detecting suspicious money laundering are patented, and hence they are not published for obvious reasons. Of course, people fear about releasing out their details from the institutions. So this one creates a huge gap or a disconnect between what is indeed applied in the practice versus what techniques or methods are available to solve. So although the financial institutions believe in the potential of AI technology, some of them have even already started taking some of the baby steps in developing some prototypes using the AI and ML. But however, the overall adoption is still too low due to the reasons of explainability. The models that give high prediction accuracy are usually non-interpretable in nature. That makes it difficult to understand the reasoning behind the decisions made. The trust. Humans trust the system if they know exactly how it functions. That's one thing which is too huge. Okay, the black box models which gives high accuracy but lacks an interpretability of the model, and that does not inspire the confidence and trust in the system. Privacy. The data used by ML algorithms includes the customer accounts and transactional data. These are concerns around the usage of this information or revealing the confidential information while bringing out the explanations of their decisions. So the AI ethics, there are concerns regarding the AI agents making the biased decisions or discriminations while making interpretations and decisions in regard to the data. We have law and enforcement. The courts across many developed countries are struggling to develop convincing and clear enough guidelines for detecting legislative and administrative considerations for drawing into the conclusion. Money laundering problem has existed since the last 5 decades, and the challenge of identifying these suspicious money laundering transactions remains still the same up to today, primarily due to some of the reasons. Which reasons? Continuously changing canvas of fraud, technology and regulatory, being a multi-step classification problem, the challenges around the data for research, and barriers for adoption of the AI by the industry. It's evident that there are several machine learning methods recommended for suspicious transaction detection by researchers. But however, hardly any evidence of application of the same in the industry. The possible identified reasons are that most researches are based on either sample of a very old real data or synthetic data, lack of training data, and lack of actual money laundering transaction data, lack of current real data containing possible latest fraud patterns, and data being highly sensitive and confidential in nature. So limited research is seen on applying the deep learning methods, and absolutely no research in the area of applying the list of DL techniques identified from the literatures within this paper. So out of the 5 articles and 3 articles have, out of 5 articles and 3, out of 5 articles, 3 articles have chosen the CNN variant graph based on the CNN, scalable CNN, and multi-channel CNN based on the NLP. The first article has chosen autoencoder, and the 5th one went with the MLP. All right. So this study found that 51% of the machine learning models used in anti-money laundering solutions are non-interpretable methods. Hence, along with accuracy and performance, it is important to consider model transparency, interpretability, explainability, privacy issues, and define the proposed model. Okay, to define how proposed model is going to fit into the overall AML solution stack to put it into practice. The future works. What should be looked at in the future? The future research should focus on the application of explainable artificial intelligence techniques to bring out explainability, graph deep learning using natural language processing, and supervised and reinforcement learning to handle lack of label-led data, and joint research programs within research community and industry to benefit from the domain knowledge and control access to data. I thank you all for listening.